Hi guys, and welcome to Angling For You Back to Basics. And today we are going to talk around hooks. Now last week we looked at the starter guide of items that I would suggest for you to get for terminal tackle. It doesn't matter what brand, what type, realistically much of muchness. With the sort of exempt floats, I think there's a few key manufacturers that do floats a little bit better, but majority of lines, hooks, feeders nowadays, they're more or less there. So today what we're going to do is just change the camera and we're going to get in close on the hands. I'm going to have a little look at some different hooks that I use, when I use them, and what times of year do I use them, because obviously it's coming into autumn time. Well, it is into autumn time now. The water's chilling out. We've had a lot of rain this last couple of weeks. Finesse is starting to come in where the fish are not feeding as much as they would do through the summer, but not as bad as they would do in the winter. So we're in that little divide. I just want to show you a few simple hooks that are my go-to. Now I'm not telling you that these are the best of the best and you should only get these. These are what I use and I'm comfortable with, and that's a key word, comfortable. It's feeling comfy with what you're using. And a lot of people will not change hook out of being a creature of habit, myself included. For quite a while I used to use a PR36 Preston until the KKMBs used to come out, and that was my go-to. So let's have a look at the hooks. We're getting close so you can see the packets if you're wanting to pick any up and try them out. And let's get into it. Right guys, so as you can see, I've got quite a lot of different hooks with me. Now, the job I do, or should I say the passion that we have with Angling For You and Angling For You Back to Basics is giving information and testing different products. So, as you can see, there's quite a lot of hooks primarily because of that reason. I like to try new things and what's out so I can give that information back to you and help you make an informed decision about a hook, whether it's an experience of its strength or that it works for a particular bait or situation. Now, a lot of these I do use on a regular basis, and we'll go into that one and start off first with the Prestons. Now, Preston is something I've used for a long time, and one of my absolute go-to hooks is a KKMB. That hook is just something I use all the time, and is just a key part of my day-to-day fishing. Now, that one is a size 12. I do sometimes get them in 14s, 16s. At the moment, on the some venues that allow it, I've got 10s, I've got 12s, and for the winter, I've got 20s. Now, if I hold them up there for camera to see, you can see those already. They do it in various different sizes, but they're the main ones that I use. Now, they have what they call a curved shank. So that means you can stick on a bait band or you can stick on a quick stop, which we'll show you in another video. So a lot of the time that's used for feeder fishing to attach a pellet or a corn via some version of a band or a little holder called a quick stop. Now, a lot of these hooks are bent in the shank shape, and I'll show you another one which has actually got a guide to show this. So if we have a look at the MXCs, they're a similar hook, and if you actually look in the little corner there next to my finger, you can actually see that where the eye is at the top has got a little bend away. Now what that allows is for the line to come down with obviously that band on. Now the KKMBs I use for majority paste work because they're a strong hook. Although I have had a couple of little things lately where we have had a few issues and it's, you know, maybe had a few slight bends in the hook, and that is why I have got some other ones to try out. And the other ones that I've got to try out are these Guru Super XS eyed ones. Now these ones, as you can see, have a straight shank, and they're super strong, and that's the extra strong version. Now these I haven't actually used, and that's again for paste fishing. There may be a few days of paste fishing left before we go back to obviously the colder weather, and it's not used as much. But the MXC Matrix that we've got here and the KKMBs could both be used for feeders, but these ones I use for paste as well. I'm just going to stick those out the corner. Now you're looking for that bent shank that I showed you on that picture to use if you're ever going to tie a band or a quick stop on, which I said we'll do in another video. So two other ones that I do use, one other one to start off with mainly, for I would say bigger medium carp. Again, they're quite a strong hook, and a Q-curve ones from Midi. Now these are quite good, actually they're very good. Again, they've got the bend to allow you to tie a band on, but the actual hook itself is slightly twisted, so it means when it rolls over, it nips into the carp's lip, and it's very difficult for them to shift, which means it's great for us in not losing fish. And I actually I filmed the other day with a Q-curve on, and I didn't lose a fish, and they were all big fish. So it's you know, they are a very, very good hook for that. So they are definitely worth a look. So if you're fishing maybe a session where you're going to be in and out, you need something robust that stays sharp, those Q-curves are really good. I will say as well, those Preston KKMBs stay military sharp for quite a long time as well. So if you'll never be a bad thing getting those. Now Guru, I've got quite a few different Guru ones, but we're going to go on to those in a second, because there's a few that I've got here that are also very good feeder hooks, but used for different ways. So they're all hair riggable, which means they've got that bend on, or if you want to put a quick stop on. But I use all these in the smaller sizes for F1s, predominantly F1s, or small carp, or if you're going for skimmers. They're all quite thin, they're all really, really sharp, and they're all just really difficult for the fish to shake, and I've got a lot of confidence with them, especially with F1 fishing. So the first one I'm going to put up is what they call an MCMB. And again, a little bit like the Q-curve, they've got a slightly curved shank, a curved hook point, and it, again, once it rolls over, it's very difficult to dislodge. But these can be a little bit fiddly when you are tying them yourself if you're a beginner, primarily because there's not much shank on it because of how curved the hook is, which means you keep stabbing yourself in the finger trying to do it, and it does take a little bit of practice to do that. One of my big go-tos for fishing for F1s, if you've watched any of the videos, is the Carp Hair Riggers from Drennan. I love these hooks, they're really sharp, they're going really well, and they're just perfect for F1 fishing. I've never had any straighting or any problems on there, and again, just a quality hook. And again, these are much similar. Now, a lot of you, if you're watching this and you've been fishing a while, or you've come back to fishing, you'll know that Kamasan are quite a big name in the name of hooks. This one's called B911s, and these are again a hair rigging hook, which means they've got the little bend on the shank to enable you to put line back through it to tie a band on, and they're really strong little hooks as well. And lastly, in those sort of style hooks, I've got a couple of different typed ones. I'm gonna leave the other bent ones for another reason, and I'll show you those. But the last one is a QM1. Now they come in these cool little sliding cases, which I think is a great idea. And you can slide them, and I wish everyone would do that, to be honest. It'd save you so much more space. You can buy hook containers where you can put them all in individually if you wanted to, but there's like 4 pouches worth in just in that one. There's plenty of space in them. And again, they're similar to the MCMB ones that we looked at, where they're slightly rolled over, and you know, enable you to tie a band or anything on. But again, really strong, reliable little hooks, super sharp. Now we go on to the plethora of Guru. Before we go on to straighter hooks that I use, really only 2 types, which are over here, for my like sweet corn and maggot and things like that. I will show you a couple that I do use. Now these are all the same hook, just in different sizes. And what they are is an F1 pellet. Now, an F1 pellet is amazing. Now, you can use these for fishing shallow fishing, if you're fishing it on a feeder. Again, they have that bent shank, but they're just a very fine wire. So I use them a lot of time for using in the winter. I use them to either quick stop corn, or I use them to band pellets if I'm going to fish a pellet on the deck, like a 4mm hard pellet. I just think they're really great. Again, you can use them on feeder, there's no problem with that. They're just more of a finessed hook. They're a smaller, thinner hook, and they've got a weird angular shape on the shank. I don't know if you can see that on the film, which helps with locating it into the fish and making it more difficult. And all these ones come with various different sizes. I tend to not go lower. I've got some up to a 20 if it's times are hard, but usually around an 18 is my all the way through winter hook into the spring, and then I go on to my bigger hooks throughout the summer. And I don't really go any bigger than a 16 if I'm fishing, 14. So if I'm fishing on a pellet or anything like that on a feeder. My size 12s or 10s will only come out really on paste fishing, unless I'm shallow fishing for big carp. But they're a few of the different sizes on those Guru ones. And I know it's a lot to take in, and you know, don't feel pressured. Just pick out which ones you feel that you want to give a try, and give them a try, because you know that's what it's about. And again, Kaizan, they're another type of version of the F1 pellet. They're very, very similar hook, and again, they're really sharp. They're a similar shape, but the only difference is, if you can see in the picture, they've got a slight twist out on the tip of the hook bend, as the other ones did. And again, it's great for locating if you're fishing for something that silvers, that's quite soft mouth. I sometimes tie these in a knotless knot, which again we'll go into, where you don't have to put a band or a quick stop on. You can just stick a couple of maggots on it and use it on a maggot feeder, or just on your normal rig, just because of that twist in the hook. Right, so any of those hooks will be perfect for if you are using something with a bait band or a quick stop. They make it a lot easier, and that's what you need with a slight bend on it. I only use eye ducks, so I won't go into spade hooks because it's just not something that I use. I've got two additional, and these are called straight shank hooks. So if you look on the picture on the side of the Guru, they're both the same in regards to that. These are straight-sided hooks, which means you're tying it with a half blood knot or a tucked blood knot, or you know, some other knot that you're competent. And again, we'll show you these in another video. Which means you're not letting the line go down the shank of the hook and tying any bands or anything onto it. So what would you use these for? These are going to be worms, pellets, soft pellets, that is, hookable ones, corns, maggots, anything that you need to hook that doesn't need to go in a band, casters. These are the kind of hooks that you want. And I'm showing you two types because the GPMBs are a slightly stronger, thicker hook that I use if I'm fishing maybe carp down the edge with a corn and then not quick stopping it. I'll have a 16 or a 14 hook in a GPMB. Or if I'm going for a little bit more finesse, I'll use the F1 pellet version of that. But if I'm going for something super big, like, you know, real donkey style munters down the edge, then I go with this. And these are the XS ones, the strong, extra strong. These are in 12s. These will be like a double corn, big old lobworm down the edge, you know, a proper gaff of an hook, super strong, and they're not going to bend out from you if they're having to lean onto it because it's trying to get into a bush or something. So let's pull back out of camera and we'll finish her off. Right guys, well hopefully that helped you out. I know it's a mountain of information and there's so many hooks out there that are just as good as these hooks, and these are just what I use. Majority, as you can see, majority of fishing I do, I've got what they call a knotless knot. Now a knotless knot means that you thread the line through the front of the eye of the hook, and at one end you've got a band tied on it, or a quick stop, and you bring that right up to the bend of the hook, and you wrap the line round the shank of the hook and push it through, back through the eye on the hook. That means that it's a knotless knot, so it's not, you're not actually physically tying a knot, you're winding it on and pulling it against itself, which creates that knotless knot. So majority of the bent shanked ones, which is what you need for that, is why I have that, because I fish a lot of shallow fishing. Again, the paste, I do it because then I can create a tag of line, so that helps with just keeping the paste on. I do a lot of feeder fishing with pellets or with a quick stop, so a lot of my fishing is orientated to around that. So I like to play about with different hooks for different size fish and different situations, but on the other occasions that I need to fish down the edge where I'm not using paste, or I'm fishing winter, when I want to use a corn or a soft pellet or something like that, or maggots sometimes, that's where I go with a straight hook. So the easiest thing to remember is, if you're learning to tie, always go with an eye. It rhymes, it's easy to remember. If you are fishing a feeder, or you want to stick a band or a quick stop or anything like that, in fact I'm going to show you what I mean by this, because I keep saying it, and this is all about back to basics, so we will go into this on another video, but I will show you what I mean. So these are bands, what you would do with your pellet, and at the side of them, it's a bit difficult to show you, but they are quick stops and bands. Now they both are what you would use if you are tying one of those with a bend on the hook shank. Now, like I'm saying, the straight ones are what a lot of people use if they're just learning, they're doing maggots and things like that. Just if you're going to do maggots, and you're fishing for silverfish, you want a light, thin wire hook. That's the simplest. It goes through the maggots nice and easy without popping them, and it's just a sharp and easy tool to get in and out of the silverfish little mouth. So hopefully this has been helpful. Put the comments below if you feel that you need to ask any questions about it, and until the next one, thank you very much for watching. Tight lines.